All right, hi everybody. We are live. I'm Coach Dennis Stoica with Modern Era Warriors. Welcome back for another amazing podcast. Hey, we are always about bringing people that are like-minded to our podcast, whether that's performance coaching, reality-based self-defense, functional fitness, grappling, striking, firearms, um, former operators from different services, branches of service, other people in law enforcement. Right? It's about bringing together people that are doing some or virtually almost all of what we're doing to promote integrated training, to promote training people like a warrior. And today I am so glad that we have Prime Hall with us here today. So Prime served 12 years in the military as a Marine Raider with combat experience in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's also a water survival instructor, training thousands of Marines in water confidence. And that, let me tell you that from being a former Marine myself, yeah, right. It's very tough for a lot of people that come into the services that maybe have not swam before. So hey, he's a graduate of the USC EMBA program and San Diego Sports Innovators program. He's a human performance enthusiast as well as a water enthusiast. He's co-founder of Deep End Fitness and the Underwater Torpedo League, which we're going to hear more about, training athletes and world champions from all sports. His program has been built, tested, and utilized by current championship level professional MMA fighters, Olympic athletes, NFL players, pro surfers, high level business executives, to break through glass ceilings and unlock their highest state of performance, right? Through proven experiences, he guides people to what? Step into their higher power, unlock new levels in personal and professional relationships, achieve health and fitness goals, and enhance clarity, focus, and purpose, right? We can go on and on a little bit more. I have maybe a little bit more in your bio, but I think that's a great place to kind of, we're talking about leveraging you, right? Or leveraging what you do. Whether it's special operators, elite coaches, executives, et cetera, right? To unlock highest potential, right? Through like your system that you have, free operating system, focus, relaxation, economy of motion, and efficient breathing, more and more and more. Hey, Prime, what else do you have to add for us to get moving? And thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I mean, I've been out kind of 10,000 foot view. I grew up in Texas, in South Texas, and went into the Marines in 2005. And I've been out in Southern California ever since. Was initially in the infantry, and then went into Marine Raiders about 4 years into my time in the military. Marine Raiders actually wasn't started when I got in, so it was something that started about 2 years into my military career, and then I got an opportunity to go try out. So, kind of, I didn't know that I was going to be getting into that. It wasn't like, some kids that grow up wanting to be Navy SEALs and stuff like that. I never had any of that. I didn't have a lot of military influence growing up in my family or anything. I did go to military boarding school, and it was a military school. And so that was a Marine Military Academy down in South Texas, boarding school. And that kind of prepped me and indoctrinated me for the Marine Corps.
Awesome. So I'm going to add here just a little bit. So you've already gave me a little bit, but I'm going to ask for maybe a little bit more that we can maybe better define something here in the question. So who is Prime Hall and what is your why? I ask just about everybody this question, right? Because it's in my coaching. I'm also bringing on people that are doing again what we're doing. So what's your why? Which is, to me, the why is the purpose, the passion, the principles of what we're doing every day for like creating warriors, et cetera.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's changed over time. So it used to be my grandparents was always my why. And so my grandparents kind of helped raise me and give me foundation in life when I was growing up, and helped me kind of rescued me out of situations over and over again, whether it be, where I was living whenever I was, a young teenager living by myself and they got me out of that situation, or whenever I was older teenager getting into a lot of trouble, with law enforcement, and they were getting me out of that, helping me, rescuing me out of that situation. So when I got into the military, it was kind of like a blessing, and nobody thought that I was going to be able to get in with the record that I had. And so when I got in, it was a very serious thing. Is like, I really want to do this for my grandparents and make them proud, you know. So that's why, like, I could go through any training or anything like selection course or anything, because I'd always just talk to my grandparents before I went, and they would say, well, you're not going to quit, you're going to be good. And so my grandparents are both still living. I actually just got back from visiting them last weekend. So they're still a big part of my why and my overall family and my ancestors. And, now I have kids and a wife. And so my, my purpose any day of the week can be my family. My kids would, like, I'll run through a burning building or whatever I need to do for my kids or for stuff like that. So that's a big why. But my outward focus outside of that and outside of my family is creating a positive shift in humanity and in our culture and in the warrior class, whether that's veterans or athletes or executives, whatever that is, to create a ripple effect. And I did my bachelor's program online when I was on active duty through Norwich University. My capstone, one of the papers was about culture. And one of the things that I found in the research that I kept seeing in different forms is, like, you can't just change a culture. You can't just snap your fingers or say something that's going to change the culture, but you can, have these actions that create these little shifts, these positive shifts. And then those shifts can create waves. And then now you can create positive change in the culture.
That's awesome. Hey, so a couple things here, right? So I love how you let everybody know that your why can change in life. It usually does for almost everybody throughout our life, because we're moving on through life, right? Things change, right? We're younger, we grow older, we do different things, we learn more. And our purpose and our passion, our principles can change, or we can have multiple. So I can have one at work, I can have one at my business, I can have one at home, right? Those are all amazing things. What else can you tell us about your time in the military? How did you get started in the military, in the Marines specifically, right? And you already mentioned a little bit about the boarding school. Can you give us a high point or two, and or a couple high points from your time in the service? Because I also love this, right? You mentioned, and I can say the same thing. So I was going to go in the Marines right after high school. Went down to the MEP station, couldn't get in to do what I wanted to do. I said, I'm going to go to college for a year. They got mad at me, right? Then I went to college for a year, and then I went in, just something I did. So great place, I think, for myself at my point where I was in my life after high school too. And I think for you too, right? Those are some amazing things for young people. So I don't know if you can comment on any more of your military time, and then a high point or two.
Yes. I mean, one high point is getting to a point where I think making it through special operations training was a high point. And just, like, at that time, knowing that you're still at the bottom and you haven't even got to your unit yet, which you're still going to start from the bottom and you're still going to work your way up. But just going from a point of, like, like before we did the shooting phase in special operations training, and they show us a video at the beginning where, it's a guy running and doing speed reloads on the move, with a rifle, and then transitioning to a pistol. And it's just like running and moving so fast and doing all these reloads and just, but on target the whole time. And it's like, and they show you that the first day you haven't shot yet. And they're like, this is what you're going to be expected to do, in 2 weeks from now. Right. Or something like that. This is the qual. Yeah. Right. And we're all like, you kind of think in your head, like, wow, it's hard to see how I'm going to be able to do that. I know I'm going to have to do it, but it's hard to, like, and then getting to a point to where you do that, breaking through. I had a serious fear of heights for me. So, I think, I even went to civilian because I fell off a roof when I was 7 and I landed on my head and I fractured my skull. So ever since then, I'm real shaky with heights. Even now, like if I go up to a penthouse or a skyscraper or something like that, it's not like a comfortable
Mhm.
situation for me. So I went to free fall school, like civilian free fall, before I went to Raider training, just
Mhm.
because I was so scared of heights. So I think doing that free fall course was a high point for me because it was like I did that on my own before I went,
Yeah.
just because I needed to check that box.
So in brief conversation that we had before too, I know you're taking jujitsu, right? And in coaching, right, too, that the people that you coach, I'm sure, right, whether it's jujitsu, reality-based self-defense, or what you're describing, right? It's about trying to overcome some of our fears and being comfortable or being comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Right. Yeah. I love jujitsu too because jujitsu is like a big part of what I'm doing at jujitsu and training is like arousal control because, at first, from military and life or death and fight or flight and all these different experiences, and then getting out. And now I'm at jujitsu, in Southern California. And it's like, no one's really trying to kill me, but my body and my mind and everything thinks that immediately. And it goes
Mhm.
into this. And so, calming and teaching myself to relax. But on the flip side of that is I use it for a relaxation kind of hack, because if I do like a hard sparring or jujitsu, especially on Friday afternoon, or even like a hard kickboxing or something like
Mhm.
that, it relaxes me for the weekend. And it's like, I don't take prescription meds, but I mean, it's like I'm relaxed, like you know, you know,
Amazing what
chilled
fitness
out.
does
Yeah.
for our body, right? Sleeping well, sleeping enough quality time, all kinds of good stuff with that, right? Too. So, hey, tell us about your medical separation with 12 years in, and was it difficult transitioning into the next phase of your life after the Marines? I know it was from reading and knowing who you are, and like a lot of operators, not easy, transitioning from service time, especially being an operator, right, and then and moving on.
Yes. Yeah, and I think I didn't know it at the time, but because it's such an uncomfortable job with everything that you have to do, but that
Mhm.
was also my comfort zone, and anything outside of it was uncomfortable. So I got, I was in an insider attack in Afghanistan where I got hit with multiple rocket propelled grenades, all around me, and got had residual injuries from that basically, carried on. And then I was having really bad pressure problems where any type of, even flashbangs or any type of explosions that I would be around would really throw me off, and make me, super sick. So I went in and got checks, and they found a hole in my ear. They found different things going on. And then, uh, you know, I couldn't pass my dives physical with what they had found. So then they did a head to toe assessment and started medically separating me. So I was at that point, I was trying to stay in actually. And I was in the process of reenlisting, which when you reenlist, you get a bonus.
Yep.
So this is like, and I'm institutionalized at that point because every 4 years I get a bonus, I reenlist, and then I get paid every 2 weeks. And I've been in for 12 years. And so it's a bit like kind of like Shawshank, where it's
Yep.
like I'm in there and the cage is opened, but I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I don't want to get out. And
Mhm.
so anyway, the medical officer said, "Hey, I see that you're trying to hold on here and you're trying to like stay out, go like reenlist, go on deployment, bring meds on deployment, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And I want you to know that like when you walk out of this office that you just got ripped off and that you're completely out. You have nothing left to hold on to. And so you need to start planning your life outside of here."
Yeah. And so some of what you mentioned to me too, right? You're helping others do exactly this too, right? Some of what you do, correct?
For transitioning.
Transitioning. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, getting out, I did have a couple, I had mentors that had been my team leader, like Derek Herrera, that was a former Marine Raider on my team that had gotten wounded with me. He got out ahead of me. He was like UCLA Man of the Year business school, like the year that I'm getting out. So he was giving me good advice and stuff. But, for like the healing aspect, and and the transition, I had no idea what was about to hit,
Yeah.
as far as,
So
what that was going to be like.
I think that leads us maybe into the next question too, right? So, and I don't know if you look at it this way, or not. Maybe maybe the first piece, maybe it's not failure, but let's talk about failure, because as a coach, with people that you coach, right? Sometimes we fail at things, and we should be setting goals sometimes hard enough, right? So we're not going to be successful, right? But let's talk about failure, how to bounce back, or have mental toughness and emotional resiliency, because there's no doubt about it. Like leaving the service, right? That's something new, right? Not necessarily failure on your part. Things happen in life, right? But how to bounce back from like what you said, like that Shawshank Redemption. This is what I've done for 12 years. Now the guy's telling me to let go, right? And so it's kind of the same, like, so how do you bounce back into the civilian world, or just in general with coaching, whether it's executives, MMA, and fighters, etc. Let's discuss that for a little bit. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, Prime, as a coach, I can tell you that, like, my coaches, people that I've learned from, there's not enough discussion about failure.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like fighters, there's a saying, like, after, some individuals, they had the best preparation and they went in, clear mindset, best coaching, and they lost the fight, and there was a learning behind it, and it's like, there's always a learning, and there's always a feedback and a download to every loss or perceived loss or something that doesn't go right. So kind of that saying, the obstacle is the way, it's like obstacle equals opportunity.
Yep.
And that each of those little failures is a bridge, or it's like a feedback loop to give you information so that you can get that win that next time, like, it's like so when you're trying to get something approved and you're trying to do something positive and you're getting no's, and these people are telling you no, and then you're just learning from every no.
How can we get to yes? Yeah. How can we get to yes? How can we get to yes? Yeah.
Yeah.
In our talk a little bit before we were on
Can I
to.
say one more thing on that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's like, a lot of my clients and stuff, when they go through hard things or whatever it is, or individuals that I know, there's a saying that always comes up in that, like, calm seas never made strong sailors. Right. So it's like, we're all in this, we're navigating the ocean. And if you never hit a storm, or you never hit a failure, you never hit these things, it's like,
you can't grow.
You can't grow. You're not going to get shaped into, you're not going to get, turn into a diamond, or, whatever it is that you're looking for.
I always look at it as, right, so our daily life, right, things that we're doing every day in every way, right, the discipline that we have every day to do what we do, to wake up, to work out, to work hard, not worry about being, given kudos or an award or whatever, just doing the things that we do, right, because that's what we do, right, as a Marine Raider, or as law enforcement, someone in law enforcement, right, I just go to work every day, I do what I'm expected to do, right. I call that, I didn't mention it when we were chatting before, but I call that knocking down the dominoes, right? It's like every day I just continue to knock down dominoes, right? Because when I knock down one, what happens? The rest are going to continue to go, right? So it's about showing up every day and doing the good things that we do. So, all right. So, hey, let's talk about your coaching and training people to be warriors, right? Empowering a warrior class of people. You have a book, a free book out there. It's Free Your Mind. I'd like to know how it came about, what's it all about, what is the free operating system, which is focus, relaxation, economy of motion, efficient breathing. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my partner Don Tran and he's also same background, Marine Raiders. We went through all of our training together, and we were getting out of the Marine Corps at the same time. So we had worked at the pool together. We had all this crazy experience, and we were putting our heads together and saying, like, and we had also been at the beginning of modern day Marine Raiders. So we kind of been guinea pigs in a lot of this stuff. So we were looking at it from a perspective of, like, what training methodology could we create that would be the simplest, most effective, impactful thing that could be a turnkey system like the OODA loop, for fighter pilots, which is observe, orient, decide, act, and have it being a training methodology that could be used for all of the elite performance, down to the lowest, the highest performer to the lowest performer, simple, keep it simple, stupid. So what we came up with in my garage on the whiteboard at that time was FREE, which is the performance system that we use at the pool to train people to remain calm and go prolonged time underwater. So if you can imagine yourself going underwater, this is the performance system that we use. So FREE, F, focus, mental focus. So when you go underwater, you're going to feel like you're in a survival situation. It's going to feel like panic because you're cut off from your air.
Fight or flight.
Yep. So and in any fight or flight situation, it does no good for you to have 100 tabs open and be thinking about, did I pay that bill last week? Is my stove on at the house? Is like, when you're in that situation. So close out all those tabs and just be singularly focused on the present moment. And it's a deep level of focus instead of this shallow level of focus when you got 100 things going on.
I refer to that as front sight focus, right? I'm on my gun. I'm on the front sight. I got nothing else to look at, to worry about, right?
Yeah. You're looking, and whatever you're focusing on, you're like we say, when in doubt, focus out. Where it's outward focused is a lot of the hack behind it. Because if you're thinking about yourself, oh, it's uncomfortable, the CO2, and I'm underwater, I got water in my ears, but it's like, no, I'm watching Dennis, and I'm focused on that. It's like I'm watching a reality show, and I'm looking through a scope, So mental focus, R, relaxation. So on-demand relaxation. So all this extra motion and everything, when we go underwater, we're cut off from our energy source. So we want to completely relax on it, like on-demand relaxation, like you put your phone in low power mode, immediate. So any movement that you do down there while you're holding your breath and you're underwater, you want to make sure that it has a return on investment, for what you're trying to accomplish down there. So if we're just going down to do breath holds, we literally just sitting there like this. There's no movement. We're not doing anything. So on-demand relaxation. And then E, the first E is economy of motion. So we kind of sum this up with flow versus drag, right? So the two biomechanics of swimming, and this is where it comes from, is in the water. But all of this we've translated into all types of goal setting and life and coaching and all this stuff that we've used with athletes and individuals outside of the pool. But flow versus drag. So increase propulsion, reduce friction, right? Increase flow, reduce drag, physical flow. Your pattern of life, you can go as deep into it as possible, but you're always trying to trim the fat, increase flow.
And this applies, I think what I'm hearing too, right? This can be created in the pool, right? But it also eliminates drag, maximizes flow to, engage better management of energy in order to unlock results and reach goals for people, right?
Right.
So a lot of what we do is physical in the gym. We start with the physical work to help create mental toughness, emotional resiliency, grit, right? But then it bleeds into other aspects of our life. So I'm assuming it may be the same for your program. It's like being taught in the pool around the physicality of it.
Yeah, you're hitting it. You're kind of hitting it on the head. Well, the big thing is the drag is one of the big things. So it's like every time at the pool we're talking about drag, and then now we're talking about their goals leading up to their fight or leading up to the whatever it is that they're getting ready for. And then now it's like, okay, where's the drag, right? If people, places, things, what's creating drag for you, right? What's draining your energy? What's creating flow, right? And then it's like, oh, well, it's all these extra movement that like I'm driving to the gym and then I drive back to my house and then I drive back to get my charger and then I drive back. It's like, yeah, that's all drag. That's extra thing because now you have less time and energy to spend on your strategic goals, relationships, and everything else that you
higher priorities that matter the most, right?
Right.
Hopefully. And how does the efficient breathing, the last piece, the last E, come in?
So at the pool, it's upper regulation and then down regulation to recover, warm up and then recover as quickly as possible in between and after every rep. And then there's just different breathing techniques that we use. So we do like in through the nose, out through the mouth, and we'll go 20 seconds or somewhere in there, like to begin with is a lot of what we'll use. So And then depending on the instructor and the athlete and what they're training for, whether it's an NFL, an MLB, a UFC fighter, they have different things, whether it's training to recover in between a play. The MLB, the pitchers are now on a 20-second pitch clock this season. So now they got 20 seconds recovery. The fighters are trained, they have a minute in between rounds, or they're trying to recover within 30 to 45 seconds. So everybody's got a different type of focus of what they're trying to breathe. But the big part for just us and as humans and what we're training people is that the mind kind of runs away from us sometimes. It's always trying to assign meaning to things and survive and find things that are keeping us surviving. So the breath and taking control of our breath is a quick way to access mind control, top-down cognitive control.
Brings you back to what I refer to as the witness, right? So in my coaching, your piece on focus, right, is to me is my witness. Again, it's the focus. So I understand who I am, what I'm seeing, right? That's the beginning of the OODA, observe, right? And bringing that in too. So awesome stuff. Hey, I want to move on for time. I'd like to know more about, and everyone out there wants to know more about Deep End Fitness and the Underwater Torpedo League as well.
Yeah, so my partner, Don Tran, and I started both of these projects, and they're grown into big communities at this point. But UTL is the sport, Deep End Fitness is the training methodology. Think of CrossFit in the water, just for someone that's never heard of Deep End Fitness. It's really a lot different than CrossFit, but I just say that to kind of get you on target. But we started it about 5.5 years ago as an experiment to see if we could get 2 pools, get insurance, and then fill those pools up with participants, and then run some kind of a competition championship, which was Aqua Bowl, which was Aqua Bowl 1. So we're about to start season 12, and we've been running for 5.5 years. So
awesome.
So with the league, it's in Southern California is where we host all the competitions. We're about to go into season 12, which will start in May. You can check out everything on utlnation.com on that. Awesome. UTL is extremely viral, so some of the videos have over 70 million views on Instagram and on our social medias and stuff. But really, UTL is a small portion of what we're doing. The main effort for us is Deep End Fitness. So we've been traveling nonstop and launching through our expansion and licensing program, launching new locations. So we just got back from Scottsdale, Arizona 2 weeks ago. And we have Houston, Texas that's launching next weekend. So that's location 16th was Scottsdale, 17th is Houston.
Congratulations on the growth. Absolutely.
Yeah. So our goal is to hit as many as possible, but as we're growing those, we're seeing these really special communities pop up, kind of a warrior class of people between military, active duty, vets, fighting community, jiu-jitsu. Lauren Murphy's a UFC fighter. She's starting the Houston program. So, so that's kind of our big main effort this year. And then we do a lot of elite training through Deep End Fitness. We train the Padres, the Chargers, U.S. ski and snowboard team. We get to work with a lot of Olympic swimmers down here with Coach Marsh, David Marsh, as well as a lot of fighters that are in our area and the areas that we train.
Oh, we're getting close on our time. I have a couple, 2-3 questions left. I'd like, being a Marine, and we're very special. We call our friend, if you will, the person by our side, sometimes our battle buddy. So I'd like you to explain the importance of having a battle buddy, not just in boot camp, not just like by your side as a Raider, but like in life, how that applies to everyone and anyone. Like whether that's your coach, a mentor, like your buddy, workout buddy, your jiu-jitsu friend. What does that mean to you, and how can that help people?
So there's a couple different reasons to have buddies. From my perspective, one is to do hard things. Like you always want a buddy with you. We always say when you do underwater training or you do ocean training or you're in a wilderness environment, or you're doing these things. And then having been in those situations when things got bad and you're in there with your buddy and shit hits the fan, is that it's easier for you to laugh and deal with the situation when you have a good buddy with you, or a buddy, you can cope and deal with that situation a lot better than you can by yourself a lot of times. And then the other part is for accountability, and this is for performance and unlocking next levels, is, you know, you want buddies in your life that also are accountability buddies. And they're like, hey, remember when you told me that, you know, you were going to be the champion of this, or you were going to, you know, be doing this kind of coaching? Where are you at on that? You know, where are you doing that? You
Call
know,
your buddy out. And
right.
it's what's amazing is this, right? I find, right? So I'm being in the government for all my life, pretty much, from Marine Corps, policing, federal government, FBI agent, right? And to where I'm at today. It's hard sometimes, unless you're in that smaller unit like a Marine Raider, to really be able to call out your buddy. So it has to get down to sometime that local squad level or that unit level to be able to call out your buddy, right? Enough friendship, enough where everyone's a spirited core. We're following the same mission, right? We're knocking down those dominoes the same day, and we're letting each other know, like you said, hey, you said you were going to do this, right? You failed here. What happened? We can't have that, right? And working as a team to get better. So whether it's executives that you're, you know, trying to teach this methodology, right, to maybe be more open with each other and honest with each other, and tight and calling out accountability, right?
Yeah. Accountability is love. And so I work with my main client for executives is Adi Attar, who is the CEO of Paradigm Sports, but he manages a lot of fighters like Conor McGregor, a ton of UFC fighters and other athletes. And so I get to work with 30 executives that work under Adi, that are all different types of the fight game, a lot of them, you know. So we're working on warrior culture, you know, hard target versus soft target, but we all work and keep each other accountable as a high performing team, and multiple high performing teams, and look at it as accountability is love, you know.
And I think a lot of people unfortunately don't. They look at it as criticism. They look at it as bad, right? But I'm looking at, I want someone to keep me accountable to be 1% better every day in every way too. Just like I'm doing it to my students. I work out next to you. I want you to call out the coach sometimes too, right? Because we all need that love at some point too. So, all right. Last couple of pieces. What advice do you have for someone thinking about joining the Marine Corps or military in general, right? If they're either going to do it or possibly, you know, making a career out of it or just going?
Yeah. First advice is don't do it. You know, I always tell everyone, don't do it, you know. And then why do you want to do it? And so, you know, I get this a lot. So why do you want to do it? I really recommend that you don't do it, especially special operations. I really recommend that you don't do this, just because I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that I have 4 friends or people that I know that have committed suicide just in the last year that were from my unit, you know. So don't do it. And then why do you want to do it? And then if sometimes they'll say, well, I don't want a regular job, or I want a cool job. Okay. So then I kind of put myself in the role of the instructor, and I'm like, I don't care what kind of job you want. Why are you here? Why do you want to be here? And then sometimes it'll come out, well, my grandfather served and he's like a big role in my life. So those are the things. And if you really have to do this and you're going to go forward no matter what, then okay, now I can support you. You know, that sounds like a stronger why, what you told me about your grandfather, than you want a cool job.
And that comes back to where I started on my podcast. What's your why, purpose, passion, and principles? So that's awesome, Prime. That's awesome advice. All right. Last question. If you could have one superhero power, what would it be?
If I could have one, I just get to make it up.
It could be anything.
I guess endless health and wellness. I don't know.
That's a good one.
So I could just like fairy dust to people too.
So the best one I've ever had was something very similar to that. So, and when I said best one, they're all good, right? But my sandbag coach, Josh Henkin, said if he could heal people. So he's also had massive spine injuries and surgeries over his life as well. One of the reasons why he created his fitness system that he has too. So, hey, thank you for being here. We're at our time. We're 35 minutes in, just over. But please tell everyone where they can find you, Prime. You mentioned about the Torpedo League. I know you're on Facebook, Instagrams. You have your website. So whatever you want to share, so people can see what product services, where your league is, and just learn more about who you are and what you do too.
Yeah, thank you. So thanks everybody for listening. You could find us at deependfitness.com, that's like the deep end of a pool, and get involved in any of the, if there's a location next to you, or if there's one that's going to start up. And then utlnation.com for the sport. And then for me personally, I do have a new book that's coming out that's around PTSD and healing and transition performance. So you could find that on primehall.com, all the information for that and whatever other stuff that I'm doing.
Awesome.
And I'll give my email too. So info@primehall.com. I have a large kind of army of people right now that is working to create solutions for this suicide problem and this mental health problem. So if anybody hears this and wants to get involved in what we're doing with that, there's a large force.
Yeah. So Prime, thank you so much. When the book comes out, I'm definitely going to get it. We'll hopefully have you maybe on another podcast to help you promote the book as well, have that discussion as well. Very important conversation as well. So, hey, Prime, thanks so much for being here. Everyone, as always, right? Thanks for being here as well. Share all the amazing content that we have learned today with friends and family. Until next time, train hard, train smart, train safe, train real, and train for life. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next podcast.